Hey there, everyone. Speck here, broadcasting from deep within the Sarlacc pit for a toy kind of mood to bring you a little show and tell for the Hasbro Pulse exclusive G.I. Joe Classified Series number 140, Nemesis Immortal, or as you may know him as.
Nemesis Enforcer!
And with that, let's get started. To begin, let's just take a quick second to admire this big beefy boy in all of his magnificent glory. Lenny, Tony, and the rest of the Classified team has put together yet another banger of a figure. This much-delayed Pulse exclusive finally had its full reveal at the Hasbro 1027 event, with pre-orders open that following Sunday, and the best part is they were in stock and ready to ship. Let's take a closer look, starting with this fantastic head sculpt. This guy just has great textures and wonderful face printing that just give out a ton of detail. We move through this bioorganic armor, including these chitinous sort of shoulder pads, as Lenny described them. And we continue down into his gauntlets, which kind of continue that decapod, crab, lobster-like detail, sort of reminiscent of what you'd see on a crab leg, and the spiked knuckles. Continuing to his leg sheaths for his swords that we'll get to in a little bit, and more of that chitinous, crab-like armor over his legs, continuing out through that Cobra-La bio-organic sort of techno-bio theme, claws on the feet, great detail on the back of the legs. You've got the standard Nemesis Enforcer elbow blades, which are long and menacing. Moving on to some articulation, we'll start with the thigh. He's got a nice thigh swivel. It's hidden inside this armor piece, which is a great design element. And then coming down, you'll see that due to the design of the leg, he does not have a boot swivel. He's got a double pinless knee with good range. Coming on down to the foot, it's your standard front-facing peg with a rocker. Goes pretty far back. One of the nitpicks I have with this is the armor on the shin gets in the way ever so slightly around the ankle, so you just can't get him so far forward. And with the weight of this figure and how top-heavy he gets, there are situations where you would want that to balance out the back heaviness. He's got the dumbbell torso, which is becoming a little bit more common in the design element these days, along with the dumbbell in the chest in lieu of an ab crunch. I wish it had a little bit more range looking forward. It's a little bit hindered, but then he's got quite a bit going back. Right there, he can look up pretty nicely, but looking down, little tough. Head articulation doesn't look up all that well. A little bit of down. He's got the tilt side to side, left and right. The neck piece has a little bit of movement inside. He's got a swivel at the gauntlet on his forearm, kind of moves back and forth. His hands, so his fists, that's my other kind of gripe, is they have that pin in it to rock kind of up and down like you'd have in a weapon-bearing hand, like a sword hand. So it kind of goes up and down like this. And in a fist, I feel like I'd rather have it go back and forth like that, just for more dynamic posing. Looking at his alternate hands real quick, you can see some great detail in the fingertips with the claws, continuing that chitinous look. And these sword gripping hands also have that sort of up-down articulation in them, which is exactly where you'd want them. He's got a swivel at the bicep, and he's got your standard butterfly joint, and then he's got your up and down in the shoulder. It gets to about 90 degrees. And then with this piece of armor that's got a really great wash on it, it moves with the shoulder, and it's kind of pegged in at the top there. So as you swivel it around, it moves with the shoulder, as opposed to some of the Black series where it can kind of go off axis. And then it doesn't really get in the way, so you can get the arm to 90 degrees, and it's right there, free and clear. Moving into accessories, he has his two swords, which continue that Cobra-La theme of biotech or bioorganic. They have a bit of a reptilian feel with the claw at the end, and then some more of that sort of chitinous design in the blade itself. Really nice color and paint on these. They just slide right into his sheath. Boom. And then the other one goes right in. Boom. These are directional. They will only fit into the sheath one way with the claw pointing back. These sheaths are big, especially once you get the swords in them, which do make them a bit bulky. I'm kind of curious to see what this figure would be like with them off. But one interesting thing to note is while the original Nemesis Enforcer did not come with swords, if you look at the cartoon, he does have something that resembles those sheaths on his thighs. Alternate hands are your standard fare. They just pop right out like that, and in goes the next one. Super easy. And boom, take the sword out, kind of hook it in. I found is an easier way. Claw goes towards the back, and bam, sword in hand, ready to fight. Next, we move to the alternate head. So pop it off, pop the new one on, and you get what Lenny called the battle armor look, as if the shell design continues and grows in place as needed. Some really great sculpting down from the brow to the bridge of the nose. Just a nice menacing look, kind of pupilless eyes. Then the bone around the cheek kind of continues in. Just really, really great sculpting. And then we come to his wings, which I know are a little bit controversial because people want a little bit more of that gargoyle style sort of full wing. And these are much more bat-like and have more of an arm and a little bit less of the actual wing portion, the leathered area. But it is very true to the new Skybound comic, if you have read that, which I appreciate a lot. It's got quite a bit of articulation to it. You'll notice it has the same shoulder design as the actual Nemesis shoulders. Um, quite pivot back and forth. It's got its own little butterfly joint, so they move kind of like they can flap. And then you've got some really great detailing on the back, kind of dry brush, like a bat fur, that just make those details pop. Articulation, shoulder joint goes up and down, twists in and out. It's got the elbow joint, also goes up and down, also twists. Then you come over and you check out the wing itself, and it's just great detail and texture going on through the leather, all the way to the hooks, the claws on the end, a little time-worn damage. And then you check out the translucency. And that to me is just one of the coolest parts of this figure. What it does with light, how you can display it, how you can photograph it. It's just awesome. One thing I would do is I'd be a little careful with these shoulder joints. The peg seems a little thin, and then boom, you just pop it right on his back, and Nemesis is ready to take flight. And once again, I just want to stress being careful when trying to move that arm up. You can see it's just the peg seems like it could be a little thin where that shoulder goes. So if you force it too much, I'm afraid you might just break it. But other than that, pretty solid. And just to show a little bit more of the articulation with the backpack on him, you can use those butterfly joints, kind of in and out, kind of go down, suck in the wings a little bit, move them back and forth. There's a lot of options you can do when posing with these wings. It's pretty awesome. And then we all remember that scene in the movie when everything in Cobra-La kind of came to life. And as you can see, there's a little mouth with pinchers right here. And so as Lenny and Tony said, they kind of designed this backpack to be its own little creature or pet, if you want it to be, when it's not on Nemesis. So you just kind of pose the wings out a little bit and then get it like that. Get that one over there like that. And boom. Now he's his own little walking, talking, self-contained bat creature slash pet. And moving that aside, we'll come on to this guy, the little cephalopod, which we all know with the original toy was a little backpack, little rubbery green tentacles that we all thought went on Nemesis, And then some people figured it out, and you put them on your Joes to wrap them around like they've been captured. But, he can still fit on Nemesis like this. Um, or you can flip it around, and you can wrap those tentacles around him and trap him. Each one of these tentacles has a bendy wire in it, so it's fully posable. Get a lot of cool stuff out of this. A lot of great designs in there. Got the suckers, you got a little beak on the creature. You can just pose him out, make him this little dude that kind of hangs out with Nemesis. Just a really cool update. For size comparison, let's look at Serpentor, another Hasbro Pulse exclusive, another giant figure. They both come in, let's get him to stand up, both come in at about 7 inches tall. I think maybe because Serpentor's head looks a little bigger, he seems like he may be a hair taller. Now we'll bring in Road Pig, our other more recent big boy. Comes in just a shade shorter, which I think looks about right, just the way it should be. And then let's pull him out, and let's pull him out, and we'll put in Once a Man Cobra Commander because these two really go together. And you can see that he towers over him as he should. Getting into a couple extra little poses and scenes, just the look, what you can do with these guys, what you can do with the accessories. It's just really cool. The articulation in the wings lends itself to just a lot of dynamic posing, the alternate head, the swords, it all just comes together really nice. Getting into the whiskey score, let's be real and break out the good bottles. Hasbro Classified team has done it again, and this guy is a 5 whiskey figure. This has been Speck for A Toy Kinda Mood. Thank you all for watching, and as you can tell, this is the debut video for my new Toy Optics YouTube channel. A big thanks to Travis Moody and A Toy Kind of Mood for doing a dual debut on both of our channels. If you like what you've seen, please give a subscribe and like to both of us. Thank you for all your continued support.